Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 action science fiction film Tenet, a film that is written and directed by Christopher Nolan, and it stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Kenneth Branagh, and it focuses on John David Washington's character, who is simply called the protagonist, who is armed with only one word, Tenet, and apparently this word is connected to a whole chain of international espionage that threatens the entire world, and it is his job, along with others along for the ride like Robert Pattinson, to investigate this and ensure that the world's safety. But what he is presented with is something beyond belief and beyond real time. Right, so that's my brief description of Tenet in some way, and don't worry, I won't give any spoilers in this film review. What are my thoughts on Tenet? Well, first thing I want to say is that I'm generally speaking a huge fan of Christopher Nolan. The Dark Knight is one of my favourite films of all time, and I can't honestly, hand on heart, say I've not enjoyed a Christopher Nolan film. There are some of his films that I choose not to watch consistently. I think his style of direction and filmmaking isn't conducive to continuous watchings of some of his films. Interstellar, Insomnia, they're quite, I don't know, he's got a very unique style, and you know what I mean if you watch Christopher Nolan films. He's a visionary director. However, I think this is the first film I've seen of his that I wasn't really particularly taken with. I found it a little bit overindulgent on Christopher Nolan's part. It is, in my book, too similar to Inception in the way it looks and feels and its construction, how the film is put together. And his films always look very, very clinical. And this is no different. This film looks very, very clinical. And I think it tries to be a little bit too clever for itself, this film. And I genuinely found myself at times a little bit bored with the dullness of some of the conversations and almost endless exposition now and again. I don't think the characters here in this film are well fleshed out or interesting or engaging to watch, anything like many of the characters in his other films, which is a real shame, because without doubt this is one of the most spectacular films you'll ever see, but it's got no substance to it. It looks amazing. I mean, some of the stuff that you're seeing on screen, and apparently it's all practical effects as well, is my understanding. Brilliant stuff. I mean, Christopher Nolan can just knock this stuff out of the park all day long. But it can look as amazing as it wants to. But if what you're looking at, the characters and things like that, aren't interesting to you, then it has very, very little effect. The desired effect. Now, John David Washington, who is the son of Denzel Washington, I can't recall seeing him in anything previous to this. I think it's a real shame that his character, I mean, he's called the protagonist, so that should give you a clue, really. I mean, we don't even know the guy's name, we don't know anything about him, we just follow him through this story. And it's a strange character, because I found myself really struggling to relate to this character. And there's just so little in the way of character development here for many of these characters. In fact, probably all of them. There's exposition everywhere, because there needs to be. This film needs to be explained, but when it is explained to some of the characters, they just accept it. Some stuff that if someone told me some of this stuff that these characters were told in this film, they told me some of this stuff tomorrow, it just blow your mind. But no, they just accept it, which I just found a little bit difficult to believe. And it's almost like this film is like a huge puzzle, and every scene is a little bit of a piece of the puzzle sewn together with scenes of exposition. And that kind of kept popping in my head when I was watching this film. and I don't feel as though that makes for a particularly engrossing film. And it always makes you feel, this film, like you're playing catch up. You always feel like you're playing catch up in this film. You never feel like you're fully understanding of what's going on, and that was probably done on purpose, but I personally found it a little bit frustrating, if I'm honest, watching this film. So what I find here with this one is it's an odd one, and it doesn't actually make me feel great to say this, because like I say, I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan, but I think he's missed the mark a little bit here with this film. I think some of the high scores that this film is getting is probably based on the fact that he's always delivered, Christopher Nolan, and to some degree he has, because it does get to a point in this film where the puzzle pieces do kind of fall into place, but by that point I'd kind of checked out a little bit. It was a bit like watching the TV show Lost for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did like that TV show, but that had a lot of room to give you these puzzles and give you these answers, and it never really answered all of them, I know. But this film found a little bit like that. It just kept throwing questions at you almost, and not very many answers. And the answers you got frustrated you even more. And it a little bit odd. It's just a little bit of an odd concept of a film here that I just don't feel it worked probably the way it should have done. So it's an odd one, this. I never thought I'd actually be scoring a Christopher Nolan film 7 out of 10, but I feel as though I have to here. It's a film I will obviously watch again, and it might be a film that on more views that it's more palatable to me. The first time watching it I found it quite frustrating. Characters that didn't go anywhere, didn't have any backstory or development really, and it was just a visual feast, looked amazing, but underneath it all there was nothing. It was all style over substance, really, I would suggest. So that is my review for Tenet. A little bit of a disappointment, I would suggest. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. If you agreed with me, let me know in the comments. And I thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with more reviews on Screen Stars very, very soon.